You're listening to Flying Casual, a Star Wars podcast. Here's your host, Michael Canterbury.
Ooh, that sweet new intro. Holly, do you like that?
It's pretty sweet.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Shout out to Omar hooking us up with that Keeley in that intro. I love having an intro theme song that gets me pumped up, but I am a little concerned. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I might play it again and we might loop this thing and it might just become a dance party and not so much a podcast.
It might never stop.
It might never stop and only the YouTube people will actually get to enjoy it. Right?
Yeah, so everyone has to subscribe on YouTube.
That's, you know what?
See how that works.
Great plug there, Holly. That is absolutely a great plug. Guys, welcome to Flying Casual. Obviously a Star Wars podcast, if you heard that introduction, but maybe you didn't recognize that throne room scene. If you didn't, shame on you. It is one of the best themes in Star Wars. We're back, episode 2. Oh man, there's so much Star Wars news coming out on a daily basis. It's almost overwhelming at times, especially when I'm at work and everyone's hitting me up about it. And they're like, hey, did you see this? No, I didn't. I'm at work. Unfortunately, podcasting isn't a full-time job, but maybe one day in 20 years we can make it a, full-time gig, which would be sweet, but we are definitely not there yet. So a lot of news to kind of digest. Just today, a lot of stuff coming out about the Obi-Wan film. We just learned that Kevin Feige is going to be making a Star Wars movie. And then some elements of Bob Iger's memoir were revealed as well, which were a little interesting. His 15 years of being the CEO of Walt Disney memoir came out, and he had some interesting things to say about George Lucas and his feelings on parting ways with the Star Wars franchise and Lucasfilm. So we'll chat about that a little bit today. But I don't just have, Holly here as well. I also have Chewie, who has somehow progressed his way to my feet. So those will be nice and toasty. Thanks for that, Chewie. We did have the Chewie cam on earlier, and he wasn't too interested in what was going on there. So if you want to see a really funny picture of him, go check us out on Instagram at Flying Casual Cast. Some entertaining stuff there. But I will say, folks, that I have been so excited to, get this podcast going. But one of the things that I was really looking forward to most was getting my good buddy Luke Elder back on the show. We had him on Rebel Watch a couple times. He called in quite a bit, offered some theories. One of the most knowledgeable people I know of Star Wars. We had him actually on the trivia trials for episode 4. And the boy was killing it. I don't even actually think he got any questions wrong. And I was really inebriated on that episode. So I really don't like, to send people there. But Luke was really standing out there with his Star Wars knowledge, and it was fantastic. So I was like, okay, Luke. So Luke, Luke and I, the full disclosure, Luke and I work together. So you may be saying, wow, so you both love Star Wars, so not a lot of work is getting done. And you know what? That may be true. Because sometimes, I'll stop by Luke's office or he'll stop by my office and, 30 minutes pass. I'm like, we just got done talking about, I don't know, Jedi Fallen Order, whatever it is we were talking about. Like, why didn't I, bring some lav mics and record this, Luke? I've been saying that for years now. Why am I just not recording every discussion we have? Because it's always so in-depth and so sweaty and so awesome. So I just, Luke has been out of work for a couple of weeks. He, just recently had a baby. I know. Yes, I know. I'm excited for him too. So we do have an in-house studio here, if you didn't know that. That's another spoiler. Really just a fun sound effect there. But, Luke's been out of work for a while. And so when he came back, I didn't want to just jump down his throat and say, hey, Luke, I know you haven't been getting a lot of sleep. I know, you got a lot going on, but hey, can we talk Star Wars? And, he's such a nice guy, and, he's just willing to help out and just, break bread and have a good time. And he's like, absolutely, man. Yeah, I'll totally call in. And full disclosure, again, I am trying to convince Luke to come on as a full-time, co-host. And I'm chipping away at him. His new baby might have to be 5 years of age before it happens, but I'm going to keep chipping away a long time. And I think you guys, chatting here with him are going to find out exactly why. Overall, great dude and hugely knowledgeable of Star Wars, and also a huge Star Wars fan, one of the best fans that I know. Luke, you're there. Did I lose you, buddy?
No, I'm just soaking it all in.
Woo. I mean, it's highly complimentary, right? I mean, did I miss anything?
I think you covered it, and yeah, you did kind of lowball me on the contract offer for the co-hosting, so
I didn't
I'm
go
just
over the
holding out for more.
details. That's fair. You pulling like a LeBron on me. You're like, I could go to LA, but you know what? I'm gonna see what else they can throw at me. So
Yeah, I got a lot of options.
I'm working on it, man. I know like probably all the Force Toast and all those podcasts out there, Force Center. I know they're knocking on your door. And I know I just got to sweeten that pot a little bit. So I'm after you, Ken Knapsack. So don't be trying to take my boy here because he's mine. He's my boy. He's my friend. So, buddy, I'm so excited to have you here finally. I hope it's a late night. So go ahead and let me, also full disclosure, thank the wife, as well for letting this happen because I know she's a big factor there in letting this thing happen. So happy to have you back, bud.
Yeah, it's great to be back. We've been talking about this for a long time, so hard to believe it's here.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's about time, and I know there's gonna be many more to come. So, like I mentioned, Luke, we had you on a couple of times, especially that episode 4 trivia trials we did on Rebel Watch, and you were just killing it, man. So that kind of knowledge just doesn't come overnight. That's not like you just started listening or watching Star Wars like last year. Like this is a deep love of Star Wars. You clearly like exhibited that when we had those trivia trials. So where does that come from? Is it just like are you going home and just like watching the tape every night, just like throwing that VHS and let's watch Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean, I got into this a little bit on the trivia challenge, but my Star Wars story starts in the 4th grade, I think. I had just moved to Ohio from Texas, and I didn't really know anyone yet. I don't think school had started yet because we moved over the summer. So I didn't have much to do, and my mom went to like a garage sale and brought home a VHS copy of A New Hope. And I'd never seen Star Wars or anything. I kind of maybe knew who Darth Vader was just from people talking about it.
Yeah.
But so she comes home with that VHS from a garage sale, and then sort of I'm hooked from there. And obviously we're the generation of the prequels coming out. That was our first one in the theater. And so, was going to all of those as they were coming out. And I think I saw Revenge of the Sith in the theater like 6 times when that came out.
Yes.
And, got into a lot of the old Legends EU stuff, playing the different video games back in the day. But I do have to give sort of you a lot of credit to like really reigniting my deep sweaty passion because I kind of like it waned for a little while as we were in that period in between the prequel era and then the Disney era.
Yeah.
And by the time Force Awakens came out, I was like, all right, cool, Star Wars. And I went and saw it and everything, but I wasn't like getting into all the new canon novels and things like that. And then it really came down to listening to your podcast and stuff kind of got me back into like the full sweaty mode. And I was like, all right, Mike's so into it and I got to get back into it at that level. And
was it a pit? Like, were you just pitting me? Were you like, this guy at work has no friends. Like, I think he just sits in his office and talks about Star Wars to himself or his employees who really don't give a damn. So I need to try to, give this guy a friend or two.
Make the nerd feel good.
Make the nerd feel good.
It was only a small amount of pity, mostly just reigniting what was already inside me again. And so I've just been so deep into it for the past couple of years again. It's a pretty much a daily part of my life, whether I'm reading a book or listening to a Star Wars podcast or watching a Star Wars movie. I try to hit all the movies. At this point we have 10 feature films. I try to hit them all like once to twice a year at least. So, I'm popping those in on the regular and all that.
Oh, absolutely. And I can't emphasize this enough, folks. Luke's got a family. He's got 2 kids. He's got a full-time job. The kid's brewing beer, God knows when. He's playing banjo, God knows when. I don't know when he does it. And I also don't know when Luke is reading Star Wars novels, because we'll be sitting at work having a conversation. He's like, oh, yeah, I just finished up, oh, God, what did you just like Thrawn Treason, Alphabet Squadron. In like a week, Luke has finished this 300-page novel. He's like, hey, did you read it? I was like, I'm still back on Queen's Shadow, bro. I'm like 5 novels behind you. So look, you are such a quick reader and a quick study, and we talked about like our love of Clone Wars together, and you were going back and rewatching it, while doing the dishes. It's like, that's impressive, my friend. Like, just on your iPad, just like, taking in that canon work. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's impressive, my friend. How do you do it? How do you soak this in?
Yeah, you just gotta, squeeze it in where it fits, wherever you can.
Phrasing.
So I didn't watch Clone Wars when it was airing originally, and how I actually watched the series, I basically watched it twice, largely cleaning bottles, baby bottles. Ooh. For my son after he was born in the first year. Like every night, I was washing bottles in the sink.
Yeah.
And I'd have it on just above the sink on the windowsill as I was washing those bottles. And I watched it twice through, basically once in the episode release order, and then I did do the chronological view order, which is, I have to say, far superior. If anyone, never talking to anyone who hasn't watched the Clone Wars yet but wants to get into it, I'd say don't bother with the episode release season order. Look up the chronological order. It just, I think, it's a lot better experience just watching it that way.
Okay, you're an opinion I trust, and that's why I was wondering, is it worth my time to even try to make sure that I'm doing this, or I just watch it in the release when Disney Plus comes out? And I've also seen, it's been years now, but I want to go back and rewatch it. And you're an opinion I trust, so I've got to do that, and I got to figure out when I'm going to do it. But I would like to get a lot of this done before the Rise of Skywalker. But that's coming
ambitious.
up. We have a couple months.
So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that once they release it on Disney Plus, they put an option in the in the select screen for Clone Wars that will allow you to just pull it up in chronological order. Just like, because what you have to do now is look it up online. You type in, I think it's on StarWars.com. They have a list of the chronological order.
Yeah.
So you just have to look it up, but then you have to kind of select the episodes out of order if you're watching it streaming, or if you have all the discs or whatever, and you kind of bounce around a little bit. Some seasons go pretty much in order, but other times it bounces around a ton. So it'd be really cool if once Plus comes around, they have a different option on there where you can click I'd rather have the chronological order of it.
Yeah, maybe they have a comment box right now that we can throw some suggestions into, our suggestion box that we can throw and say, hey, maybe this is what we want. Maybe they'll listen. I don't know. I'm sure it's probably all ready to go, but that would be sick. And especially there are some kind of, I don't want to call them throwaway episodes because that's kind of mean, but there are a couple out there that's just like, this is all about this single stormtrooper. I really don't care. Those are the ones where you may be doing the dishes, and then when you need to skip, 10 episodes to the next chronological episode, that may be a little difficult. So something like that would be sick. But dude, you're just slaying it, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's so awesome to have someone at work that I can talk to like this, because I'll tell you, there ain't a lot of us there that really love Star Wars like we do. So getting to talk to you and getting to talk to everyone on the Facebook group, it just thrills me every day. It makes, sometimes it makes work tolerable. I hate saying that, but it does. But you mentioned you were watching Clone Wars with your son, they're taking a nap or whatever. Do you think he's just kind of just like as his mind is this little sponge, do you think he was just soaking it in, kind of like a bedtime story or something, and all this knowledge that you have now will be bestowed on him? Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, he knows a little of Star Wars. He's still so young. He's 2.5, so he's not nowhere near ready for the movies. But he knows R2-D2 and Chewbacca are the things he knows the best, because we'll run around the house making Chewbacca noises. And he has a T-shirt that has some characters on it that he likes to wear, and Chewbacca and R2-D2 are two of the characters on there. And then he has my friend got him for I think his second birthday this little R2D2 that is like 6 inches tall and rolls around and makes noise on the ground and stuff. And so that's his Star Wars for the most part. And I've shown him just little clips here and there, and he's like, "Oh, spaceship and stuff." And yeah, he's a little ways off of really getting into it, but it's funny. Like my wife's not a fan, but she's supportive of what I like and stuff. So she just on her own was like, "Oh, he should totally be Chewbacca for Halloween."
Yes.
And our new baby girl, who's just a few weeks old, she's like, "Oh, we should get her done up like Leia, and then we can go around with the two of them." And
Yes,
That'd be awesome.
So we're working on that for Halloween and stuff.
That's fantastic. I actually want you to wear that to work, but we do already have Halloween costume plans at our workplace. We're actually going to be doing an Avengers theme, and I'm gonna try to be Star-Lord, but I gotta start doing a lot of push-ups and stuff to really really bulk out of that red leather jacket. But Luke, by God, it is hopefully going to be Loki, because if you're picturing Loki right now and the awesome freaking hair and the handsome good looks, that is Luke, people. Just picture him. That is Luke. And so that's going to be also fantastic. But I can see you as a good Chewbacca. You might have to actually do the Chewbacca roar here in a little bit. Maybe we'll record that and use it in future episodes. But we won't put you on the spot right now. What you said earlier, Luke, was fascinating to me, because you're probably the third person just in my immediate friends that I know that loves Star Wars that have said, "My mother got me into Star Wars. My mother gave me a VHS or recorded over." We just had Wade on the first episode.
He said the same thing.
The same exact thing. I know, Ez, same exact thing. Luke, same exact thing. Other people, same exact thing. It's so funny because you hear about these, these men who really love Star Wars as teenagers, and they grew up and they had families and this and that. But like everyone I know, their mother loved Star Wars, or was trying to distract their kid with something and popped in this VHS that had cool flashing lights and stuff and would get their attention. But is that fascinating to you too, Luke, or was it just kind of that's your mother was a fan and you knew that was something she wanted to kind of bestow on you?
Yeah, I think at least with people around our age, it's who weren't old enough or alive enough to have experienced the original trilogy in the late 70s, early 80s. But, my mom was in college when A New Hope came out.
Yeah.
And I think saw it, and, because it's such a cultural phenomenon. And I honestly don't know if she ever saw the other movies. I don't know if she's seen. I mean, she's probably seen them over the years of me and my brother having them on all the time growing up and things like that. But, she's not like a super fan or anything. But, she she obviously knew Star Wars, and I think saw it when it came out in the theaters in the 70s.
Yeah.
And, she's like, "Oh, this is great. Kids love this." So when like I said, I was just a young kid in a new state far away that I'd never really been to before. She was looking for things that I could do while, towards the end of the summer, and here's Star Wars. Yeah, I love that.
God, that's so awesome. I bless those mamas. Really, putting their boys in the right direction and really just, I don't know, just growing that love there, planting that seed that just kind of, just picked up over the years. Unfortunately, my mom really knew nothing of Star Wars. It may blow some of your minds that like my love of Star Wars came when I was a little older. I was a teenager when it happened, and I'll ask my mom to this day something about Star Wars, and then she's like, I kind of briefly recall when it came on, because my mother's in her 60s now, and she's like, I recall it. It was probably not cool enough for her at the time, but none of my family, my father, my mom, nobody, they kind of think I'm the nerd of the family, and they're right, so be it. But no love for Star Wars in that family. They love that I love it so much, and that we do this and stuff like that, and that's great. And they're supportive, but I love it when I hear those stories, and more often than not, in my experience, it's the mama that's bringing them in, and that is fantastic. But yeah, I love it. I am so happy for you and your kids, and I can't wait for you to just share Star Wars with them for hopefully the rest of their lives. It's going to be fantastic. Are you ready to talk a little Star Wars with me?
Yeah.
Let's do
Ready
it.
to go.
Let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and start things off actually with the voicemail. From Scotty Hawk, our boy Scotty Hawk there in the Facebook group, and you're really supporting us on YouTube and stuff like that over the years. He sent in some voicemails before. He sent in one just recently about the Jedi Fallen Order trailer. Luke, did you watch that trailer at all, the most recent one?
No, I don't think I have.
I don't think I haven't got a chance either. Now I've seen some stills. I've seen some clip art, some really sick scenes with Cal and some huge monsters. So I'm so excited to check it out. I've waited. I've been tempted, but I've waited because I want to do a reaction later on. Maybe tomorrow or tonight or something like that. So I'm waiting. But so he mentions a couple things in here. It's not really spoilers. I kind of gave it a listen beforehand to see what he was talking about. He just has some ideas of what's kind of the story in this game and what are they seeking, and what's Cal doing, and it kind of bleeds in a little bit some of the storylines in the comics that we can talk about a little bit. But Holly, you got that voicemail up?
Yep.
We'll go ahead and play Scotty here, and he'll drop some knowledge on us.
All right.
Hey, Flying Casual. This is Scotty Hawk, Hawk's Holocrons. I'm calling to drop some hot sizzle about a post I just saw on the Facebook group from Nate, and it is involving the video game Fallen Jedi, and that he's after something that the Empire wants, something important. And my off the top of my head speculation when I first heard about that was it would be dope if it was the list of living Jedi that survived Order 66. And in the Vader run that Charles Soule did, Vader confronts Jocasta Nu, tracks her down on that remote planet because she had the list with her.
Yeah,
and I
spoiler
think
alert.
that was after they fought in the Jedi Archives. And this is kind of a spoiler if people haven't read it, but you need to.
Turn it off.
Jocasta Nu finds like this weapon up in the archives when Vader's chasing her around, and it looks like a rifle, but then she loads a lightsaber into like where the bullets would load and hits him with like a lightsaber pulsar ray thing. It's crazy, but I think it would be cool if the video game tied into anything. I would assume it would. So if it would be cool if he knew that they were trying to get that list, because the game is Fallen Jedi. I assume we're gonna see what happens moments after Order 66, but just my speculation. Curious what you think, Mike. Good to see you back. Talk to you later.
Always fantastic to hear from Scotty. I don't think there's anyone in the Facebook group that is more excited for Star Wars at any moment more than Scotty Hawk. I mean, the boy is killing it in the group. He's killing it online. He's got awesome theories, and this is just another one that a lot of people wouldn't even have made that connection. But it's so awesome to hear from him. And Scotty, I think you might be onto something. Luke, did you heard that right? When we got this thing figured out, right?
The Jocasta Nu Jedi list thing?
Ooh, yeah. He heard it. So you heard the voicemail, because I'll be honest, they're still working out the technicalities here on Flying Casual.
That was a test.
The whole voicemail.
Perfect. So there is this, Vader line, the most recent one that just kind of recently ended. I still have a couple issues to finish. I don't know why it's taking. I don't know why. It's just like the novels. I don't know why it takes me so long. I'm just slow at reading. I'm slow at getting to it. Did you get? I mean, we've talked about a little bit of this, Luke. Did you ever get a chance to pick up any of those?
No, I am not good on the comic stuff. I've heard about a lot of it through other, sources.
Yeah.
Kind of following from a distance. I focus more on the novels. The comic book has never been like my medium of choice.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting. Maybe it's not a great idea for Jocasta Nu to be running around with a list. Maybe she shouldn't write that stuff down.
Yeah, no, seriously. It's actually surprising, and I don't know if that's like a spoiler for anybody, but I was blown away in that issue when Jocasta Nu, the librarian there on Coruscant, just turns into a real BA in certain moments in this comic, and she's just kind of like protecting the archives, and there's information that Vader wants, and that's, he's hunting down Jedi with the Inquisitors and stuff. So it's fascinating to see that, and it really just, that there's moments in that comic where things are really exaggerated, and Vader, has huge like waterfalls that he dumps on people, and she's doing crazy stuff, and so it's much more exciting than the stuff maybe you would see like in the movies or something. But it was awesome to see her come back, and she's kind of guarding that knowledge. I never even would have thought that, maybe. And then again, though, maybe there's something in the trailer that I haven't seen yet. But my understanding from the original trailer about Cal and Jedi Fallen Order is that, he escaped Order 66, and they're hunting him. And he really, he's living a modest life, cutting up starships from the Old Republic, and is trying to just make a living on the down low. He's not using his Force powers. He's not wielding a lightsaber around. He cannot be found by the Empire because he doesn't know who else is left. He may be the last Jedi. We know, he's obviously not, but so I never really thought that he was out seeking something, but there might be something here that, Scotty touched on that we're missing from this trailer that we'll take a look at soon. And maybe he's seeking it to keep it out of the hands of Vader, all these Inquisitors that are following him, because we see Inquisitors from the Clone Wars come out of the woodwork here. The ninth sister, the second sister, all the sisters, these Inquisitors, and they're hunting Jedi. And so, we've in the first trailer we saw, I forget which sister it was now, the second or the seventh, one of them, hunting Cal. The seventh. So, yeah, right? That was the trailer. It's there's too many sisters.
Yeah.
Phrasing. But so that's a PG podcast, Holly. Don't even make the joke.
Edit that out.
Edit that out in post. So let me collect my thoughts again. It's they're hunting him obviously, but I never really thought about him hunting information to keep out of the hands of the Empire. Luke, what are your thoughts on that? What's Cal doing?
That sounds really intriguing to me. Because you always wonder how many Jedi survive Order 66, and there's like this balance between too many having survived it, because it is supposed to have been quite, devastating and such a swift and effective assassination by the Emperor of so many. But it's such a great sort of storyline to delve into. Obviously, you have Kanan from Rebels, who has that same backstory, and we have Ahsoka, who was outside of the Order and so kind of survived through that way, but is still hunted. Is still known to be a Force wielder. So it's interesting to me. Like it's fertile ground for stories, but I think they have to be careful with not oversaturating it with too many of these people.
You're right.
Who have survived, but I don't think we're anywhere near that point right now. Given the number of stories that are out there so far, it's really still just a handful of those Jedi that we know about who survived and carried on in some way. And it makes sense to me. Like, it's interesting if that is the case, sort of the juxtaposition that this represents compared to Kanan in the A New Dawn novel, sort of pre-Rebels animated series.
Yeah.
Because, like, if this guy is trying to, in the new game, is trying to reunite some Jedi in some way, like, I need to find fellow Jedi and we need to band together.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, do what we can to, fight the Empire or just to help each other survive, versus a Kanan who's like, it kind of just goes into despair and sort of becomes like a drunk and like just a wanderer. And it sort of takes him just kind of by chance running into Hera to sort of get on the path where he becomes a part of the rebellion later on.
Yeah.
But at first he's like just, like everything is lost and sort of just lay low and drink and try to get by.
Yeah, no, folks, I'm sorry. If your socks aren't blown away by Luke already, then I don't know what will. This is why this man knows Star Wars, because he makes these connections and these points. And you're absolutely right, Luke. That like they are risking oversaturating. And I get it. They want to build on the story of the Inquisitors, and the Inquisitors, honestly, I don't even think we actually even really know. I mean, we see some of them killed, but I don't even know if we know how the Inquisitors really ended yet still. So maybe we'll learn a little bit of that here, or I don't know. But I'm so happy that you brought up the Kanan reference, because I'm just like on overload right now with Star Wars knowledge. And so because you encouraged me, you said, pick up A New Dawn. You're not going to be disappointed. And I wasn't. It was fantastic. And it really wasn't the Kanan that, I mean, Kanan has his moments in Rebels, but he generally is a pretty optimistic dude, but not in that book there in the beginning. He was a little darker and depressed, and like you said, he was drinking and stuff, and if I remember correctly, did his master save him from Order 66? Did he have that experience?
Yeah, and that's, like I said earlier, I haven't really delved into too many of the comics, but one of the comics I have picked up, which was really cool, was one of the Kanan comics, and it shows how he and his master get sent off during the Clone Wars around the time of Order 66. His master's name is escaping me at the moment, but she's been in, I think she might have been in that Dooku audio play thing, her character. And anyway, she, in the Kanan comic, it shows how she basically saves him when Order 66 goes down. She kind of fights off the clones that are attacking them long enough for him to get away. Mm-hmm. And I think he has some survivor's guilt. Yeah. Because he was he thinks, oh, she was such a great Jedi and she sacrificed herself so I could live, and I'm not that great. So, she would have been better off if she would have found a way to live and not worried about things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's did Cal have that same experience? How did he survive? Was he out doing something? Was he doing some, Anakin Skywalker kind of, mediocre mission, and things went down? And he's like, oh my God, what do I do now? Or was he in the temple, running from Anakin and the stormtroopers, and his, his master was sitting there holding off blaster bolts, and he escaped out the back or something? I really hope the game opens up like that, and we kind of see a jump to where he is now, in the shipyard, and learn all of that story. I want him to really, talk about that. I don't want to just assume kind of what happened and how he got there, because we see glimpses of Order 66, and it's kind of what's scary right now is I saw some comments from people on, the Inquisitors coming back, and Cal's another survivor and stuff, and now it's becoming a joke of the stormtrooper. Everyone makes the joke about stormtrooper and their blaster accuracy, right? They never hit anyone really. Like the accurate blast points is kind of a joke when Obi-Wan says it, because it's they're really not that accurate. So people were like, were their predecessors, the clones, also just as inaccurate, and that's why so many Jedi survived? I mean, who knows? We see, masters like Plo Koon and stuff die in Revenge of the Sith. I believe that's his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we see these people fall, so we get glimpses of kind of what happened. We see Fallujah, and we see all these other planets where these Jedi are falling. But now we're finding out there's so many that are surviving. But in that Vader novel, there's another one that survives, and he's kind of, in penance on this other planet, just cutting himself off the Force. He was kind of banished from the Jedi Order, and so he's kind of in punishment right now, and he senses all this happening, so he technically is a survivor. He wasn't at the temple, but he's a survivor. So I'm really fascinated, and I love the connection you made there with Kanan, and maybe this is crazy, but do you think they would make a connection there and even have in that story mode a moment where he runs into Kanan, or is that we're really just crossing paths too much?
I think that would be great. I think, fans would love that kind of connection. It could be Kanan in his darker periods where this guy runs into Kanan and is like, oh, you're another Jedi. We got to do such and such, and you got to work with me. And Kanan's just like, no, dude. Just go away. I'm going to the bar. I'm going to the canteen.
Wouldn't that be great if he runs into him and he's like, look out where you're going or whatever? And that would just be fantastic. A nice little nod, right?
But I love your idea of seeing his origin of his Order 66 experience from the temple. Yeah. Because that is a storyline that hasn't really been tapped yet. Pretty much, as far as we know, most, if not all of those Jedi that were at the temple were wiped out.
Yeah.
Like you see that one. My friends and I always kind of joke about that scene where Bail Organa it pulls up in his speeder.
Yeah.
And I think it might even be George Lucas's son who
It
plays
is.
this.
Yes, sir. Nice fact.
Yeah, and we kind of make fun of Jimmy Smith's portrayal in the scene. But when he's like screaming like no, when the one young Jedi tries to like run out to the speeder and like jump on it and escape with him, and
Yeah.
he just ends up biting it.
He does, and
but yeah, it'd be cool to see somebody actually get away from the temple.
yeah, right. And you're right. That scene is it's hard to really believe it because hey, God bless George Lucas's son. You know, great guy, but man, acting there not that great. You know, his fall was a little cheesy. And I'm sure all of them are on this green screen. It's probably hard to really, you know, he's getting shot out by, you know, nothing and he falls and it's probably difficult to emote or have a reaction to that. So I try to love the story, but you're right. Some of those scenes are a little hard to watch, but
well, I have to clarify the part that we kind of laugh at is the way Jimmy Smith like drives away.
oh yeah, he like stumbles in.
Drives away. He's freaking out like, oh, that dude just got killed, and he kind of doesn't even get all the way in his seat.
Yeah,
and he's like, and he starts driving the speeder away.
You're right.
That part is the part that we kind of like giggle at and joke about.
Well, also, isn't this another moment this may be a silly connection, but you know, C-3PO and R2 escape from the escape pod, right? An opening of A New Hope, they escape. They're twirling out in space, and you know the Imperials realize they lost an escape pod. They're like, there's no life forms. Don't worry about shooting it down. And the Family Guy spoof is really funny. If you haven't seen Blue Harvest, they're like, what are we saving? You know, blaster bolts or something? Saving on cost here? Why don't we just shoot it down? You know, just to be safe or whatever the joke is. And I never understood that. They're like, why not? You know, they've already. Well, I guess they haven't really dissolved the Senate, so maybe they can't risk, you know, eliminating this individual because they need some sort of structure in their government, right? I just didn't realize and think like why not just kill him right then and there? They just kind of let him go. But maybe that's just to kind of keep things stable. I don't know, but just silly thought there. Any other thoughts? I mean, you're gonna get a copy of it. You're gonna come over and we're gonna play it in live stream. I mean,
yeah, I might just have to see you play it sometime or something.
Yeah.
I never gave up the gaming a while ago.
Hey, you
don't have a system or anything now, so
just stop over. I can babysit. You can get on there and play Fallen Order. It's all gonna be good.
Yeah, I'll continue to be the kid. You're in charge for a while, Mike.
I got it. Old Mike here. He's Mike Solo in it. Just watching this kid. That would be very interesting. Yeah, I can't wait to get it, guys. We are not that far away. A little over a month and a half. 2 days away from my birthday. Comes out the 12th. My birthday's the 14th. So just, you know, if you want to send me a copy, that's cool. A little birthday present to me. That would be really exciting. So I cannot wait for that. Scotty, thanks again for the voicemail. You guys keep sending in those voicemails. We want to play them. You know, if you're sending emails, I want to read those as well. So if you can, send your voicemails to 614-398-2119, and we'll play that live for you. As long as, you know, you're respectful and you know, keeping it clean, we'll absolutely play it. So keep those coming. So we got that out. More Star Wars. There's a lot coming out recently. I feel like every day this week something new came out. We got the Triple Force Friday, collectibles and the toys, and I know Luke thinks I'm a child because I will still collect the Black Series. He's kind of, you know, grown out of that, but I was pretty excited by that news. Still got to watch some of that footage. You know, we got the new Jedi Fallen Order trailer, so you'll need to check that out. But some news came out. That was, I don't think anyone was surprised, but I will say I was surprised by some folks' reaction that I saw online. So, you know, I'm a big fan, you know, of Star Wars Theory, and a lot of other guys out there making content. But Bob Iger's, you know, memoir came out, or at least, you know, snippets of it, and so everyone ran with this. And basically, you know, Bob Iger was coming out and talking about his first, you know, 15 years as the CEO of Disney company. Walt Disney Company, and he talked about George Lucas and how, the purchase went down, and that George felt betrayed, and I knew that George had some issues with how things went down, but not really to the extent that Bob Iger kind of touches on here. And so I hadn't really read much of it, but I saw, some posts like Star Wars Theory, and people were really just coming out and say, we love you, George, and we back you, and we can't believe how they treated you, and this and that. And I was just like, wait, what happened here? So I went and checked it out, and you should go check it out as well. There's really great articles. The Hollywood Reporter has a decent one. I don't know, Holly, do we want to read it, or do we want to? Is that too much?
I think it's too much. It's
Too
a
much.
little wordy.
It's a little wordy.
But yeah, it was posted on the Hollywood Reporter. It's called Let me try this again. Bob Iger reveals George Lucas felt betrayed by Disney's Star Wars plans.
Yeah.
And it kind of does more of Bob Iger's side, since it
Yeah.
came from his memoir. But it's kind of interesting because you do see so many people who are like,
Yeah.
poor George Lucas, how dare they?
Yeah.
And then he comes out and he's like, well, actually, he wasn't really like, we weren't contractually obligated to do anything that he offered in negotiations.
Yeah.
They just listened to him and said, okay, maybe.
Yeah, those are very important things to remember, that this is all by Bob Iger's perspective. I actually don't even know if George Lucas will ever come out and publicly say kind of what happened or what he was expecting or anything like that. I just think he's probably kind of over it at this point. But so I mean, the word on the so-called street was that George sells Lucasfilm to Disney in the Star Wars franchise, and apparently in this contract there was nothing ever stated that they were going to use any ideas that George Lucas had. They actually bought 3 either scripts or storylines, not scripts. They had 3 storylines that he had for the new sequel trilogy, and they bought those from him outright. So he didn't have any rights to those at all, and so. After they purchased this and they kind of tell George their plans, they purchase Lucasfilm, they purchase his story. He expressed some kind of disappointment that they really weren't going in the direction that he thought they were going to. He didn't really, he didn't think, especially after The Force Awakens came out, I think he was quoted as saying like they didn't do enough, new things. They didn't expand on technology or anything like that, which I think is a little inaccurate. I mean, they've done a little bit of that, and Luke pointed out some of that in our conversations in the office. Some of their later works, they've really expanded on technology and kind of broke some new ground and stuff like that. So it really goes on to talk about his disappointment and that he felt, they use even the word betrayed by Disney.
He said, allegedly, he said, there's nothing new. This is George Lucas. In each of the films in the original trilogy, it was very important to him to present new worlds, new stories, new characters, and like you said, the new technologies. And he said that in these new films, there wasn't really anything new.
Yeah.
It's just building on the things from the prior films, and he didn't really appreciate that because his whole thing was he just wanted to keep like building these new,
breaking new grounds, talking about midichlorians and doing all that stuff, and I get it to a certain point, but there's one thing, and I know Luke agrees on this, is we love those new characters, right, Luke? Like we really we gravitated towards them from the beginning in The Force Awakens, didn't we?
Right. I think one of the stronger points of The Force Awakens is all the new characters it introduces. I think they're great characters. When you're talking about Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo.
Yeah.
I am one of those people who agrees that a lot of the plot is too reminiscent of A New Hope in the big picture. But the fact that it introduced these great new characters that we get to know, I think is one of the stronger aspects of it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
So we do see in December we are getting a couple more new characters too. We saw a new droid.
Yeah.
Actually at Celebration they brought him out on stage, and that was kind of fun. A couple new characters.
Felicity herself is a new character. Why can't I ever remember her name? My crush in middle school. Can't remember her name at this point, but she played Felicity on a television show that I watched with my mom. we'll talk about that story later. But so we're getting new characters, and we have another character that's kind of fighting with Finn. I can't remember these new characters' names because I haven't been reading the spoilers like a lot of people have. So shame on them or shame on me. But so I tend to agree with Luke. Like I really love those characters, and it. But you're right. When it comes to Star Killer Base and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is oddly and uncomfortably familiar, and how things are going down. But as the films have progressed, and this was a great point that Luke made in my office, and he's like, well, what about Rogue One, right, Luke? Like they bringing in Tarkin, and they're breaking ground there, right?
Yeah, I think what they did with Tarkin represented like a bold step in filming to try to do something like that, to take a deceased actor and bring him back to life in that way and pull it off. And I've heard some people bash the Tarkin in Rogue One, but I saw that might be the only one of the Disney era movies my wife's seen from start to finish.
Yeah,
because we went to the theater and saw it together when she was pregnant with my son, and she was like, I was kind of shocked when we got out of the theater. She was like, "Oh, when we get home, we should watch, episode 4." Because she knew it, took place right before that, and she was like, "Yeah, that was great, and let's go watch episode 4."
Yeah.
And then when we're watching that, and she sees Tarkin in that, she thinks like, "Wait a second, he was still alive to make Rogue One?" Like she had no idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a person.
Yeah.
Standing there on screen.
Do you remember when?
Like,
in the theaters, everyone audibly
Oh,
gasped
yeah.
when he came on screen.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke, what are you saying?
I thought it was really impressive what they did with Tarkin, and even somebody like myself who knew Peter Cushing was already dead could get lost in it. It wasn't like, so I knew it really wasn't him, but it was done well enough and seamlessly enough for me that it blends right in.
Yeah, it really did. I also remember that audible gasp in the theater, and those that were with either loved ones or friends that didn't understand why everyone gasped. Went, what happened? And I hear them say, "That guy was dead." Like how did they do that? Because it was believable, especially on the big screen. Now you can watch the Blu-ray and you can watch it up close to your TV, and you can see inconsistencies with his mouth. But this is new ground they're breaking. They were really going out on a limb because they didn't even know how they were going to do this. Someone just said, what is, this era without Tarkin? What is the Death Star without Tarkin? Like, how are you going to explain, we have this completed weapon and Tarkin's nowhere to be found? I thought for a second they were just going to show his reflection in the window, and I was still like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was like, clearly he's not going to turn around and face the camera, and then he does, and my jaw was on the floor. I'm like, that is impressive because I know, he's deceased, but the Peter, not Tarkin himself. Well, he is, he was on the Death Star, we think. But maybe we'll have, a sequel of Tarkin and he actually survived. Who knows?
Get a Tarkin series.
Bring, Tarkin back. Sure. Maybe we'll put that on TeePublic or something like that. Tarkin, a Star Wars story. Maybe. I don't know. But in my opinion, they have been breaking that ground, and we're going to see something like that with Leia, right, Luke? Like that's something that we're expecting, some interaction there that either they've taken from old footage or using some of that technology they dropped with Tarkin to kind of, finish those moments that she really needs.
Yeah, I feel like I know and can predict very little about all that's going to go on in episode 9. But one of the more fascinating, intriguing things is, how they pull off the Leia stuff. Is it just like one scene?
Yeah.
Like it can't be a lot with what they're saying about using just a lot of extra footage that's lying around.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe they're going to do some really creative, sort of innovative stuff to work around that, and it'll be more than we might expect.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Iger goes on to state, yeah, we know we made some mistakes. Like we bought Lucasfilm, we bought the franchise, and there were expectations to really, start making some of that money back. Pretty much, they paid over $4 billion for the rights to it. So, they got to make some of this money back, and there was a real push to make content. And so they're thinking, every other year we're going to make a sequel, saga film, and then in between that we're going to make standalones, and they did that for a while, a lot of which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Rogue One. I enjoyed Solo, not as much, but I really enjoyed it, and in my opinion the new saga films are great in their own respect, and so I totally get that sort of pressure, and maybe they could have done things differently. I think every director, every producer probably says, hey, we could have done this differently, but you got this product and you just got to own it. And I think they're doing that, and you got to remember, there's more Star Wars content now thanks to Disney. I mean, if George Lucas, were still owning this, we would probably just be rewatching the Clone Wars, like there really probably wouldn't be much out there, and we'd be reading expanded universe stuff, and that's cool. But we just really wouldn't be getting the content that we're getting now. And he goes on to also talk about, there was a callback for those, those practical effects. I remember when I saw the first trailer for The Force Awakens, and even J.J. Abrams was speaking in it, and he's like, practical effects. Like, everyone was pumped to bring back that realness and that ruggedness and the practical effects that they used that made, that broke ground in itself, but also made it feel real, and actors could, play off of those interactions, and things were blowing up and all this cool stuff. And I thought they really captured that again. And so he kind of talks about, they not that they were kind of pigeonholed to kind of do that, but that's what people wanted. They wanted that. They wanted that old Star Wars feel, but they also wanted new stories and stuff. So I see how they tried to blend those together, and a lot of it, in my opinion, was successful. But it took some hits from a lot of people, and especially The Last Jedi. But I just kind of thought that was fascinating, that dropped now, so close to the rise of Skywalker. Luke, is there any intention there with that, or did they know they're going to come back and win back all these fans with the rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, the funny thing about Star Wars movies is, as much as some people complain about them, those people always seem to go out and see the next one. Right. Anyway, so I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a success financially, and I think even J.J. Abrams has revealed sort of the things along the same line as what Iger's getting at here, where like he was under pressure just to deliver something that was financially successful. Yeah, with The Force Awakens, rebooting everything, and didn't take too many risks. And I think he's pretty much admitted that. And then I think Ryan had a little more freedom to go and take risks, and did. And obviously, some people didn't like it, but it was still a financial success. And I don't think the risks he took are going to hurt the prospects of 9. And JJ himself has basically said he feels a lot more unshackled for 9. So I think 9 is really going to give us something we haven't seen before, based on that it's going to be financially successful, and they've already recouped most of the billions they paid for it already. So I think we're really going to get something that maybe George can not feel as betrayed about in 9.
Yeah. Do you think that they brought him in a lot? I mean, I know JJ said that I think they referenced him for some things, but do you think he had a pretty big part in this at all?
I have a hard time thinking he had a big part. I think there's some stories out there that JJ talked some things over with him, or maybe just picked his brain about a thing or two. But I think he's largely walked away. Like he'll show up on set for his buddy Ron Howard making Solo, or Favreau and Filoni shooting The Mandalorian. You see George show up on set, just I think the personal relationships he has with those people. But in the big picture, if he has no real personal connection to the people working on it, I think he's pretty standoffish at this point. Yeah, no, absolutely. I hope he, takes his grumpy pants off and really just kind of comes out and offers some support for it. And I think that's kind of what everyone needs. Kind of like what started me down this kind of rabbit hole of reading this article and stuff was people come out and say, how dare you treat him like that and stuff. But you got to realize, if George, wanted, then that's one thing about George Lucas that everyone knows, is that he's a control freak.
he was, he had a lot of control over just the scenes in these movies and wanted to be a certain way and a certain feel. And he got that point across to the actors that, hey, we're doing what I want to do. Like, there's not a whole lot of creative input here. We're doing it my way. So if he wanted to maintain that control, then you just don't sell the company, right? Like, you just don't do that. Here's the thing. Somebody could say, hey, Michael, you own Star Wars. Like, you created it. You're one of the best storytellers of all times. Here's $4 billion for that product. I would absolutely take $4 billion. Are you kidding me? Like, right? Am I alone, Luke? Or would you take it?
It'd be hard to say no.
I'd be like, I will start another franchise, I guess, that, is an alternate reality of Star Wars or something. I don't know. But Holly, would you be honest? Now, I don't want you coming in here and riling up the fans and say, hell no, I would keep the franchise and just go to town with it. Well, be honest.
Yeah, I would absolutely take the money.
Okay, cool. Just making sure that we're all on the same page. That would be a difficult choice, and we don't blame him for that. That's an intriguing offer, and to know that what you love is still loved by fans even after the prequels. Some people having issues with those, that they still wanted content. Absolutely, I'll make money, and this can go on. And that's the other thing that George, I feel like, had opportunity to do to change Star Wars for a new generation. He's done that, and I think he knew he couldn't do that anymore. He didn't have the ability to do that. He didn't have the passion to do that, and he knew that Disney could, and I think they have. You got Rebels, you got, bringing the Clone Wars back, Resistance, you have the shorts from Star Wars Kids, you have toys back. It's huge, and you're gaining a whole new generation of fans there, and I think a lot of that is due to Disney, and he knew that. So maybe things aren't as bad as we think, but I think he knew what he was doing, and you gotta understand, if he wanted that control, he should have kept the company. So
yeah, we'll go ahead and post that in the group and on Instagram and see what you guys think.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's as much as I had seen online that a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you were betrayed, George. How dare they?" Some folks in the group are saying exactly what we said. He sold it. If he wanted it, he should have kept it. Like, you can't expect him to do exactly what you want and have that control without ownership. So definitely seeing a lot of that, and I think we'll probably see more of it. But yeah, go ahead and comment in that Facebook group and let us know what's going on. So I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. And I mean, more news. There's just a lot out. We got Kevin Feige coming to Star Wars. The president of Marvel is going to be doing a Star Wars movie. People have wanted this for a long time. People were calling for Kevin Feige to become the president of Lucasfilm, and they wanted to out Kathleen Kennedy. And mind you, George Lucas put Kathleen Kennedy in that position. Just remember that, folks. But he's in Star Wars. That's announced. That's a Star Wars official release. I'm excited for it. I think it brings in new fans of Marvel, coming into Star Wars if they aren't already. I think he's a big player, and it could be the beginning of something big. Who knows? It could be a trilogy, or maybe they could be saying, "Hey, we're going to get you comfortable with this fandom. See what you can do." And you know what? If Kathleen's looking to retire, maybe that's a nice seamless transition, and he's got that respect that he already has, but earning the respect of Star Wars fans. So don't jump to conclusions, folks. I've already seen that. What is it? Is he's gonna be the next president of Lucasfilm? You can't say that. He is a huge Star Wars fan. He actually did a great interview with the Star Wars show, which is fantastic, and he shared his love. He's been a huge fan for years, so this is huge for him. He's always wanted to do this, so this is fantastic. Maybe something else down the road happens, but don't jump to, hey, he's the new president. We're years off from that, but Luke, I will say this was shocking. I did learn this a little more recently when we were talking about your Loki costume. Not the biggest Marvel fan. Am I right when we're talking about the movies? Not the biggest fan.
Yeah, it's hilarious to me that this news is coming out just as you bring me into the podcast, because I might be one of the only 30-something white guys walking around who hasn't seen any of the Marvel movies at all. I don't think I've seen a single one of the MCU movies. The superheroes and the Marvel characters just really aren't my thing. Don't draw me.
Yeah.
But I know how unbelievably successful they are. highest grossing film franchise ever, and Endgame was like the highest grossing movie ever, right? And everyone's like, Feige is incredible in the way that he's weaved all these movies together, and there's like 20 movies a year, and people keep going and seeing them regardless. They haven't been overly saturated, and so clearly he knows a thing or two about what he's doing with all these. So I think there's been a lot of people who would love to see him poached off of the Marvel stuff, or just hope he gets sick of it and wants to do something different and just goes full bore into Star Wars, which you would think he could bring similar success.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sometimes I think that's the mistake. People think that, he's going to come in here and it's going to be just as successful as the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies have, and that's a huge leap, because what they're doing is it's just completely different. They are taking, existing characters and taking the best parts of those characters and bringing them together, and that's a unique way to do things, and a lot of what they're doing sticks to the comics, but there's also a lot of liberties taken to make the stories work together, and but they do that beautifully. They do such a fantastic job of, they're huge blockbusters, but every single movie has its something that just, it allows it to stand alone, and it's just like a Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland blew me away. It was fantastic. And welcome back, Tom Holland, to the MCU. That was just announced today, back in the universe. Thank goodness. We were really sad for that guy. And it actually spawned an interesting theory from one Star Wars fan that I have in my department. Came in today and said, what if, Kevin Feige comes in and somehow brings Spidey into the Star Wars universe? And I was like, okay, Michael, listen, that's a stretch, but we'll see. I doubt it, but I guess it's possible. But welcome back, Spider-Man. But they're two different things. So it's just because they've had success, with the MCU doesn't necessarily mean that would translate into Star Wars, because Star Wars they're tough fans. This is a fandom that has completely divided at times and been really hurt and have been vicious to each other at times. And that goes the same, for the DC and Marvel and stuff like that. But it's tough business to be in, and be a fan, because it can get toxic at times. But I think the best of us tend to come out and smother that and really show what Star Wars is really about, and that's bringing people together. But just don't assume that that's going to be some huge, thing, and then it could bring Star Wars to another level. And I'm sure it could, but they're really different things, and we need to remember that. But I am excited because just for him, he's a huge Star Wars fan, and I know this is something he's wanted to do his entire life, and he's finally getting to do that. So, congrats to him. Really excited for him. But oh no, oh Holly, what is this something new that I'm not? Oh no, it's a trivia moment. I'm sorry, Luke. Luke, I didn't want to do this, buddy, but your knowledge is too sweet. I have to tap into it live on the spot with a few trivia questions. I mean, is that acceptable?
You may fire when ready.
Fire when ready. He's got that Tarkin in him now. So Holly pulled a couple fun cards. I'm going to tell you, Ron, folks, I told you from the start, the kid knows Star Wars. I didn't coach him on these. Even if he gets some wrong, I do not blame this kid. He probably knows. That's a huge stack of cards, Holly. What you think? 95% of this he knows.
Probably more. He could probably coach you.
Oh, absolutely.
Dare I say.
I really need Luke, in the car on long trips with me, coaching me on trivia, going through the answers, because I am not the best at trivia. I lock up, I freak out, and I give wrong answers. But Luke is not one of those people. But Luke, are you ready, my friend?
Well, yeah, hopefully I don't fall flat on my face after you've built me up here.
Oh, dude, you absolutely won't. And this is, I would love to bring back the trivia trials at some point, but this is kind of I don't even know, rapid fire trivia trials just coming on. You never know when it's going to happen, and you're the first contender, my friend. So let's see what Holly's got here for you.
Okay, Luke, you probably know the rules. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer it. These can be multiple choice.
They can be, Luke.
But we'll start with not multiple choice.
That's right.
And then we can turn them into multiple choice if you get stuck, which I don't think you will.
Phrasing.
Oh my
but
gosh.
Go ahead.
Okay, question 1.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the first to track Han Solo to Cloud City?
The first?
The first.
Boba Fett?
That is correct.
Nailed it. He's 1 for
See?
1. Bing, bing, bing. Hey, everyone. That's a... Yep, I know. I'm happy for him, too.
See, we started off easy.
Nailed it. I even got the soundbite. I'm pretty proud.
Okay. Do we do another?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. This one is a little different. This is more about the movies in general, less about the characters.
Yep.
Where were the Hoth sequences filmed?
Norway.
That is correct.
Wow,
See?
folks. I really... You can't... there's no multiple choice here with this, man. I'm telling you.
he doesn't need it.
He got all the points in the trials because he went no multiple choice. Question 3.
All right. This one's a true trivia question. Although we've heard him pull out some...
Wow, phrasing.
Whoa. Okay, moving on.
I don't think we know Luke that well, but go ahead.
How many nostrils do tauntauns have?
Wow.
How many nostrils? Oh, man.
Do I have a sound bite for that? I don't know.
Not that.
Nope, that's not the one, but we're going to go ahead and end that one.
I would hope not too many because Han talks about how bad they smell.
That's a great point. I could give you some options if you want.
Yeah, I'll go. Give me the options.
Yep.
Okay. We have 2, 4, 6, or 8.
Now, Luke, I let me stop you here. I know you want to run for that too. But don't.
It seems too obvious, doesn't it?
That's what I thought too. That's too obvious.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say they've got 4.
Correct. You got it.
Oh, that's the wrong sound bite, but you know what I'm going for. Hey, congrats to Luke on that. Luke did not make a joke.
No, but
So I didn't go with the snare and hi-hat.
yeah, next time hit that yellow one.
The yellow, yeah, we're working on it here live.
Color coded.
Last question, my friend, for the first, wiping the table clean, rapid fire trivia trials. Can he do it?
Inaugural
Can he
flying
do
casual
it?
trivia.
Can he do it?
All right. Who was Echo 7?
Oh wow, Echo 7.
See, Tuffy.
Yeah, this is a deep question.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We're using all the sound bites
I can
here.
give you some options if you want.
Yeah, I'll take the multiple choice on this one.
Okay. Was it Luke Skywalker, Carlos Recan?
Who?
Did I say that right? I don't know. Okay.
Someone drop some knowledge there in the comments because that one escapes
Tell me who that is. His name popped up on a bunch of these cards too. I
phrasing.
don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Han Solo or Princess Leia?
Definitely not Leia. Han Solo.
Correct.
Folks, I wish I had some celebration music. I do. It was glorious. He won the World Series. He knocked it out of the park. He's Luke Elder. Folks, that does it for us. Luke, thanks so much for coming on, buddy. Hit us up, folks. Keep flying casual. Actually, I'm just kidding. We're not gone. If you left too soon, that was just my celebration music. That wasn't ending the podcast. I just needed to have that epic moment. Holly, is that okay?
So you're not done.
I'm not done.
You're still going.
Phrasing, I am done actually. But Luke, you nailed those questions, my friend. So thanks for participating in that. That was absolutely fantastic. I could put him on the spot at any moment, and he nails it.
Yeah, it was fun. I was a little nervous.
Well, you nailed it, man, and that's the thing. I'll bring in this trivia box, and we'll on the clock do a little studying.
Yeah, some of them
at work.
Some of them are weird.
Some of them are a
though.
little strange.
And some of them don't make sense, and I don't agree with the answers on some of them. Not that I'm the expert,
Well, I mean,
but I just feel like if I don't agree with the answers,
Yeah. Well, then maybe you need to write the trivia, just like I used to do back in the day. Let's write some more trivia because these aren't good enough.
But these are written for us.
That's fair. It's a lot easier. It's a lot less work. Luke, you got any closing thoughts, buddy? Like any theories that I need to be aware of?
I'm not a huge theory guy, but
Okay.
I do have a point that kind of ties into the George betrayal comments from Iger's book
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
I think I always approach Star Wars to see the good in it.
Yeah.
And I go into Star Wars with my love for it. So it's easy for me to love what comes at me that's new.
Yeah.
And I think I wonder how many of the people who say, oh, George got done dirty by Disney
Yeah.
are hypocritical, because they might be some of those same people who said George Lucas ruined their childhood when the prequels came out.
I know.
And are the people who kind of help diminish his desire to keep owning it wholly and to do the next trilogy on his own. I think it's part of that backlash to the prequels that ultimately made him willing to go ahead and sell it to Disney and let them run the next trilogy.
Yeah.
So I would say, if you maybe in the future, just go for the positivity and things. I don't know why people, I get, their rocks off or whatever, just being super critical and super negative about the things they supposedly are fans of. I would say don't crush and kill these people who are on the creative side, who are bringing us these new things.
Yeah.
Over every little minute thing. Try to find the things that you enjoy, even some of the things that aren't done as well. You can kind of laugh and have fun with those. So that's just kind of my message of Star Wars hope and peace and love.
God, and that's what it's about, right? That's what the rebellion's about. That's what these stories are about. Is just hope, in every saga, in every episode. And you couldn't have said it better, my friend. I think people forget that. They forget, what it can really do to someone. And you're right. That may have been the very reason he got rid of it in the first place, is what he was, getting from it and from the fans after, creating that new age of Star Wars. And that's so interesting to think about. I wouldn't even have thought about that. So you put that so well, and those people may be the hypocrites now. They're saying, well, he would have done this differently. Well, I mean, where were you 10 years ago? Where were you, when, times were tough for George? So you're right. It's interesting. We all love the guy. We all want to support him. But I do want to see Star Wars grow. I want to see it, expand. I want to see it do new things. And I think Disney is a lot, is because of that. So I'm so excited, and I'm happy to see that you're still pumped about Star Wars after all these years. And I'm so happy that you are back and getting into the sweaty details and reading them novels, and you're even, you're blowing through the canon novels. So you're keeping me on my toes too. And it's so nice to have a good friend that shares this passion and is willing to just contribute and be such a positive influence, not just in Star Wars, but for everyone around you. So pumped having you on, buddy. This is not the last time. And then like I said, I will get you here in person. You will be here in the studio, right?
I think that's going to happen. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so down. Okay. You guys, if you really enjoyed hearing from Luke, leave some comments. Encourage the guy to come on full time. Let's make it happen. He's got a lot going on, but we can get him as much as we possibly can, and maybe someday he'll pull that trigger and jump in full time with us. That would be fantastic. So I'm gonna keep chipping away at him. You help me out there, because I know y'all enjoyed this one, and hearing from Luke and just the sweatiness coming out there through your ear holes. And just that insight that he brings that really no one else I know does. So Luke, thanks for chatting with us, buddy, and flying casual. And like I said, we're going to be doing this real soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely, buddy. All right, guys, you know what time it is. It's time for that real outro now that I really want you to get to enjoy and dance to. But like I said, guys, leave your comments. Go join that Facebook group. That Facebook group is thriving because I'll tell you, Wade is killing it. That Facebook group is growing. There's so many comments a day, and everyone's just feeding off each other. You got Scotty in there tearing it up with his excitement, dropping some spoilers sometimes. I'll say that.
Watch out for that guy.
Watch out for that guy. He sometimes throws some spoilers at you, but that's, hey, you got to take it. You got to look at this stuff cautiously. But so go join that group. Send us an email at flyingcasualcast@gmail.com. You can send a voicemail, like I said. We'll read it here live. That's 614-398-2119. And I'm just going to leave you with this sweet track provided by Omar. It really thumps well. So, guys, thanks so much for listening again. We're going to be back next week with another episode. So won't you join us again? So we'll see you soon. May the Force be with you.